Hello, and you're listening to Questober, the start of our lovely month of October.
Ooh.
My name is Brandon.
And I'm Tiffany. And just so you know, we are not professional writers in any way, shape, or form. Well, at least we don't claim to be. We just really like tabletop RPGs, and we do this for fun.
That's right.
And spookies.
And spookies. It is now officially October, first Sunday of October.
Yes!
I just want to ask you, what is your favorite thing about October?
Okay. Gonna let out the basic white girl here. I love fall. I love spicy, crunchy life season as one of my favorite YouTubers says, or spicy, crunchy leaf season. Sorry, I said life. And
That sounds like the hippiest things that you could find around here.
Right? I love pumpkin spice. I love pumpkins. I love Halloween, and I love Dia de los Muertos, which I know is the day after Halloween, so that's actually November. But I like Halloween and spooky season.
Now, are you a fan of like horror or anything like that?
Nope. No, I don't do well with horror. I just like the cute spooky.
The childy spooky.
Yes. Like silly jack-o'-lanterns instead of the scary ones.
I think all jack-o'-lanterns are silly because I don't think there's a legit scary one.
I've seen legit scary ones.
What would that look like?
The really like creepy, grotesque faces that people can carve into them. That's going a little too far for me. I just like a good jack-o'-lantern face.
Even if like it's like the menacing looking face, I just see it as like it's still a pumpkin and it's still just like a candle or light inside of a rotting pumpkin. It's rotting at that very moment.
Yes.
I never find that scary.
It's not that I find it scary. I'm just not as into the grotesque pumpkins as much.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Like when they use the pumpkin guts to like come out of their mouth and be like, bleh.
Favorite thing for me about October is much simpler. It's the fact that it's now getting cooler and I hate the hot temperatures of summer.
Ah, yes. Sweater season.
Light sweater season.
No, I get the chunky ones out. End of September is usually starting
And
to
I
get
don't
too
have
cold
to
for
pay
me.
money for AC or anything like that. The electricity bill goes down slightly because I'm still a gamer.
You don't start the heaters up?
No, I start the heaters up in winter.
As soon as the AC has to go off, it's because the heaters need to start coming on for me.
My favorite season used to be spring because for the same reason.
Spring is nice.
Like it's a nice transition. I love rainfall and all that stuff. But fall also has rainfall
Yes.
for our area.
And leaves falling.
But because as I got older, I developed allergies to pollen.
Right.
And so now spring sucks for that aspect.
Yeah.
But then fall has no pollen.
Mm-hmm.
And it has all the weather that I like. So now fall is my favorite season.
I do like fall. I just like the aesthetic of fall, like all the colors, just the atmosphere, the hot cocoa and sweaters, and just good times.
I mean, isn't hot cocoa and sweaters more of a winter thing?
It's better for fall. In winter, it's throw on all the winter gear and try to survive.
You know, it's going to be fine. We live in the Pacific Northwest.
Yes.
If we have like a listener from like Montana or something like that, it's like, really?
How do you survive, honestly?
Or Alaska.
Oh, how do you survive? I nearly die in the winter every year here, and it doesn't even snow that much. I have no idea how people can survive months on end with snow.
No, I survived just fine. I hate the people, like, not the people itself, but I don't understand the people who could survive hot weather for months on end with no break. Like the people in like Nevada, Arizona, all that stuff.
That's a dry heat. I couldn't survive in a dry heat. Give me a nice
humid heat is worse.
I find it better. I can go live with my family in Florida if I want to.
It just, ugh. Because humid heat, you feel like you step outside and you're already drenched. You breathe in a gallon of water a minute and it's just unbearable.
Keeps you hydrated.
And you just feel disgusting and icky and sweaty and all gross.
I'm okay with that. I don't like the dry heat because it's just, I feel like I'm roasting. I feel like I'm going to be a shriveled up little, like, I don't know, what happens when you dry fruit and stuff. Just that's what I feel like I'm going to look like by the end of the day.
You're going to be a raisin?
Yes, that.
Or sun-dried tomato?
Those are really
or
good.
Or prunes?
Actually. Yes, all of those is what I feel like in a dry heat.
It's not as bad.
It's bad for me. This is why humans are all over the world, because different humans enjoy different temperatures, different climates.
It's adaptability.
That too.
It's how humans are very capable of adapting to their environment.
True.
And then they become accustomed to their environment.
Mm-hmm.
There's only one correct environment, and that's the Pacific Northwest rainy season.
I gotta love that rainy season. It's so nice. It's very aesthetically
It's
pleasing.
rainy here for like 9 months of the year, and then 3 months suck.
3 months are finally warm.
3 months suck. We just went through a heat wave, and I was, ugh.
Oh, I enjoyed every minute of it.
Anyways, so we are doing Questober.
Right, yes.
If you did not listen to our last year's Questober, it is fine. We somewhat forgive you. But please listen to them.
They're spooky.
We dedicated an entire month to actually trying to make up monsters, where the focus is to make a monster-based quest. A quote-unquote original monster, hopefully original.
Yeah.
Based off a random prompt. And we actually looked up spooky prompts or plot hooks.
I think they were more plot hooks, not necessarily quests.
But they were inspirations.
Yes.
And I think last year we did a lot that was like, oh, put this in Monster of the Week or something like that. It wasn't exactly D&D.
Right.
A couple of them were D&D, but it could be in any system.
True. Yeah, anything we ever come up with could easily be used in any system with just a few minor tweaks here and there.
And so hopefully we'll come up with good ones.
That's always the hope.
To make a good product, yes.
Yeah. Are you ready to roll?
Yeah, sure. I guess, what do I need?
A D8.
Okay, found it. I got a 4.
4. The party comes across a mirror. Looking into it will reveal a monstrous form of whoever looks into the glass. Yeah, it's a really, short and sweet, but it could lead to so many different things.
Yeah. Okay, I can't think of anything right now.
I've got kind of a werewolf / Jekyll and Hyde type situation where they'll look into it and be like, ugh, neat. And normally at that point, the entire party would want to do that and see what they look like in the monstrous mirror. And then they'll move on. They'll have, they'll be like, whatever, that was neat. But then that night, whoever was the last person to look in the mirror or the first person, or DM's choice or whoever did look in the mirror, becomes that monster and tries to take out the rest of the party.
Okay. What if it was a demon-like creature? I was going to say, what if it was basically a demon that's absorbing or seeing the inner fears of a person or anything like that?
Okay.
But then I thought of something else. What if it shows the monstrous person and all that stuff, right? And let's say it's only in a party of 4, one person looks and sees a monstrous version of themselves. And then they realized that the monster then internally switched. So then the player's now stuck in the mirror world and the monsters took over their body.
That sounds fun.
But then I don't know how we go from there.
Well, if the rest of the party looks in the mirror, they just see themselves. They're like, ha ha, funny, it's just a mirror.
Mm-hmm.
And meanwhile, the person who's trapped in there is like, no, let me out. It's taken over my body. But no one knows that except for you, the viewer. I'm thinking movie form here where it looks at the camera and the eyes flash.
Oh, you doing the eye flash from Thriller with Michael Jackson, the music video?
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about.
I do know that reference, yes. I'm thinking here you're going to talk about a scary movie, and then I remembered you also don't like scary movies. Why are we doing this?
Well, I think we said last year, I hate scary movies, but I'm quite decent at coming up with horror things.
Yeah, you are.
In RPG-wise. And that's why I am in charge of the horror-themed campaign we're going to be doing soon.
I'm so excited to start that.
I don't know. You guys might be grossed out about a couple of my ideas.
Oh, no. Anyway, so the monster is now in the player's body.
Mm-hmm.
When does that come into play? What do they start doing? Do they start acting slightly off?
If we come up with a motive for this demon, then maybe that will help with behavior changes and all that stuff.
Now, here's a question. Is this somehow hidden from the other players? Or do the other players, not the characters, the players, do they know this has happened?
You know what I would do if I was a dungeon master or keeper or whatever?
Text the person, be like, a monster has taken over your body.
That would be a premeditative, you pre-select someone. That would probably help. But I was also thinking each one of you does this and, you see this monstrous form and all that stuff. And you could point out all that stuff. Then you just role play the scene like it's normal and have them control that character and act like the character. And then a little while later, it's like, okay, well, we're going to cut back to that mirror and your real character is in that mirror pounding and saying, hey, guys, why are you leaving without me? And flashback, you do a small flashback, and then that's when the out player characters realized.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Keep everything normal.
Keep everything normal until you leave the scene.
Mm-hmm.
And then you reveal it for them. But then they have to now act like they don't know it for their characters.
That could work. If ever this happens like in between sessions at all, if like they see the mirror and then that's the end of the session, like you throw it in as a teaser for next time.
Make sure you do it in the middle or near the end where the reveal is the end, not see the mirror end and then, like that.
Why not though? What if you see the mirror then end and then you can talk to that player and be like, okay, you've looked in this mirror. Here's what's going to happen next time. You cannot tell anyone else.
I could see your approach, yes. If you want to make sure that because some players do metagame.
They do.
If you want to ensure that, you go that route. If you want that like twist, I would say in between sessions they might forget or they
that is possible.
Aren't as invested. If you do it all in the same session, it's a bigger drop.
It is a much bigger drop. It definitely is.
But if you want your players to not meta subconsciously or consciously, I would suggest talking to one player beforehand.
And like if you have like phones and stuff at the table, you can always send a message.
That's if they check it.
Yeah, true. So let's go with like I like the part where like, they just reveal it right then and there and they're like, oh my gosh, wait, what's going on? Because what gives it away? What is like the moment of...
I think it'd be cool if everyone knows. That means then you could do a whole like, this happens with the party, I'm controlling their character. And then we say, oh, we cut over to the real character in the mirrored world. And then you could just do it like, we'll go back to this. You basically forcibly split the party.
Right.
And you're just now talking to both. And since everyone knows, you could then cut back and forth.
Okay.
You know what I mean? That allows the player to actually play.
Right. So, okay, this demon, essentially. Demon or fae?
But usually fae is about deals and all that stuff. And
yeah, they have to make a verbal deal usually.
But then again, if we're just doing like our modern world version, fae could be anything.
True.
The deals is usually a D&D kind of thing. But I thought it was just like possession. And usually demons are known for possessions. And
could also be like a spirit or something. Those can also possess.
Oh, it could be it could be a spirit that was trapped in the mirror, like and a cursed mirror world.
It just wants out. But it's cursed that if it ever does escape and takes over a body, that body becomes a monster.
What happens if it's just like it's a tainted spirit? So it says it sees a monstrous form.
Yeah.
The monstrous form could represent the spirit just becoming feral because it's been so long or anything like that. It expresses the personality of the spirit. And it's a form in which of the person, like a monstrous form, I think that's a symbol of it possessing the body. The monstrous form is now in the shape of the body of the player.
Right. Like it doesn't have its own form, but whatever form it does take, which is you looking in the mirror.
It's very representational of possession. Monster spirit is now in form of this body.
Yeah, and it always corrupts whatever form it's in because it itself is corrupted. Probably gone insane after a bit of loneliness.
I think this would be a cool thing if it was like a haunted house.
Oh, yes.
Because I could see then the mirror world is only within the house itself. But that means that the player that's stuck in the mirror world now could then be seen on any mirrored surface in the house.
So any reflective surface.
And that's how they communicate to the actual other party.
I like that.
Or like try to call for help that way.
It's like they'll just walk past a window and they'll just see someone like pounding on it from the other side, but they won't hear anything.
But it's a faint reflection. It'll be the exact same reflection as if it's a reflection.
Yes.
So if it's a windows I was gonna say windowsill. If it's window glass, it's a faint reflection, like as if you saw your own reflection in the window glass. But if you see like pull up a silver spoon that's in it, you'll just see the reflection as if they're like standing right behind you, but they're not.
Oh, that's creepy. That'd be really funny if somebody did like walk up to another mirror in the house, maybe, and that player is just standing behind them. Like, I did a gesture with my hands, by the way.
That's the only way you could see him or her is only reflexive, so it's like as if they're in there.
Yeah.
Can he? I keep saying he. I'm just gonna say he from now on.
Or we can just use they.
I'm very bad at remembering just to use the.
Right, and we're talking about a player here, so they could be whatever.
When they're in the mirrored world and they then see, let's say someone stands in front of a different mirror, like bathroom mirror.
Right.
And they're standing right behind them, so you see the reflection. Are they able to touch the reflection version of the player that's outside?
Oh, that would be so creepy.
But then, like, how does that work?
They would probably be able to touch the reflections.
And move, like, pull the clothes or something like that?
I feel like it would
But then
not
it wouldn't affect the real.
Yeah.
Okay.
They can interact with the reflections, but it does not affect the person in the real world.
Okay. So yeah, they could like move the arm up and the reflection arm would go up, but their real bodies don't do that. Oh, that is creepier. Yeah.
So they can manipulate your reflection, but it does not affect you in the slightest because they don't have mirror powers, but they are in the mirror world.
But then what would happen if I might be overthinking this way too much. So let's say they raise another player's arm up, like right arm is completely up. And then the real world version decides to then move their arm to the right.
Then the reflection would follow that.
Like, would it go, like, would it transition from top to right? Or would it translate, suddenly, like, catch it, like, just jump over to its new reflection position?
I think you are overthinking this.
I am, but I feel like if you did this to the players, they're going to try something like this.
If the trapped player manipulates another player's reflection, the reflection will stay that way, the way it was manipulated to, as long as the trapped player is interacting with that reflection. So if it holds a player's arm up, as long as they keep their hands on that arm, it will stay up no matter what the other player does.
Oh.
If they release the arm, it goes back to whatever position the untrapped player is currently doing.
That makes sense. Okay.
New rule made.
I feel like I would have tested those boundaries if I was a player.
I know you would. Also, earlier, I did make a random gesture. I said the player or the trapped player standing behind them doing this, and it's me holding my hands up like, what the heck? How can you not know it's me out there? So I just wanted to clarify that I did make a gesture.
That flew right over my head. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, no, I gestured at Brandon, but he can see me.
We got the limitations of these rules and all that stuff. I think that's set. And it's only going to be within the house. So what is the motivation of the spirit?
To escape or to feed?
I want to say it's in a haunted house. So I feel like we need to make sure that the party has the motivation of why they're in this house and has to stay in this house.
Maybe they got a quest because it's haunted?
If it's Monster of the Week and all that stuff, then...
Yeah.
Or they hear rumor that like something's going on in this house. When they go into it, it all shuts and locks and they can't leave. Okay.
Yeah. Maybe the spirit's goal is to kill off all players and leave with whatever body it has taken. So it can now escape. It cannot leave until all other life forms in the house are dead.
But then why didn't it leave before? Because I'm assuming that...
Because it didn't have a body to leave with. It was trapped in the mirror. It is one specific mirror within the house that has...
That's in the attic. It has to be in the attic.
Oh, it's got to be in the attic. Yeah, it's up in the attic with a sheet over it.
Oh, yeah.
And it's facing the wall.
Okay. So it's trying to find a body. So when, let's say, the doors close and they're locked in and all that stuff. So then when it possesses the body, then the doors will be unlocked and then it'll try to convince them to leave?
Yeah.
Or why wouldn't the ghost that's possessing the new body would then just leave the party and just walk out the front door without them realizing it?
It cannot leave unless every source of life in the house has left. So either it needs to convince the other players to leave before it or kill them. It can only leave the house once the house is devoid of life. Essentially, the house is a prison for the spirit, and the only way it can leave is on its own 2 feet if no one else is living in that house.
I feel like that's a little complicated, and I'm trying to think of a better solution.
Or the spirit's goal is just to kill the entire party, so there's no witnesses to it getting out.
I had the sudden thought of like, what happens if this is a spirit in which it wants... Let's say if this is a man or woman.
Okay.
Like, let's say a woman spirit.
Okay.
And which only possesses through the mirror. And she is the original owner of the house, blah, blah, blah. But she also had her husband.
Yes.
And she wanted the husband to also get a body, but his is through a different way. So she's trying to slowly convince someone to then unknowingly get possessed through his means, and then that's the motivation for the spirit to stick around and interact with the party.
I had a slightly different thought.
Is it better than that one?
I don't know. We can try.
Yes, it probably is.
The husband has possessed the house itself, and he hates her. he doesn't want her to get out. He's trying to protect the world from her because he knows that she's gone insane.
Oh, I thought you were talking about like Monster House.
Pretty much Monster House.
So no, that one was just the house loves the husband and hates all outsiders.
Yeah. So the house is the husband, and he's trying to keep her in. So he's trying to not let her leave. And in doing so, traps the entire party in there as well. The doors only lock as soon as the player looks in the mirror.
I had this stupid thought. If you just told the player beforehand, hey, you're going to be possessed,
yeah,
then you could just play a game of Among Us.
It is just Among Us.
If the person was in on it and you're like, hey, you're going to be possessed, act normal, and then it just turns into a game of Among Us.
Wow.
That's funny.
Mm-hmm.
No, that could work too.
And like the house can be full of pictures and stuff.
Oh, no.
Of them being a happy couple.
The wife kills the husband.
Oh, shoot.
And so then the husband basically possesses the house, and she died of starvation because he locked her body in, but then her soul stays in the house. And that's how this whole thing happens.
So now they're just fighting each other in the afterlife?
Yes.
Oh, God.
That sounds more fitting, yeah.
Yeah, it does. Maybe she tried to kill him so she could have all of his money. And then turns out there was none.
Yeah, thinking that he had money buried in the basement or something like that.
Yeah.
And then he didn't have any.
Okay,
so we have motivation, all that stuff. It's going to be a little bit hard because if all the players outside the game know that the body is possessed, it's hard for because then we could say, what is the ghost? Like, how do we kill the husband's ghost that's haunting the house? There has to be a way to kill him so that the wife ghost wants to direct the players to do that.
Right.
So what is the way for that? And then we'll think about how do we get rid of the wife ghost / switching the bodies back. And then after that, that is the general solution.
Right. How do you get rid of a ghost that has haunted a house? Essentially, you said, so she killed him and then buried the body in the basement?
Oh, to take his body out of the house?
Either you move his body or you burn it to harken back to the days of watching Supernatural.
Actually, the house is locked, so they can't take it out.
Yeah, they can't take it out.
Okay.
But if you burn the body, purify it with fire, maybe some salt.
Oh, it could be one of those huge mansion places because it's super rich.
Oh, yeah.
There are old-timey mansions that have small chapels in them.
That's true.
So if this mansion has a chapel, then she could then say, come across the body of the husband and say, oh, this might be a spirit that's ruining this place. We should take it to the chapel and purify and do a small ritual to send them off to the afterlife.
Right.
And not be lingered here, so that it would get rid of the ghost that's holding them, and then she could break free.
Maybe there can be little incidents where almost poltergeist type stuff where things go flying across the room and hit the player who's been taken over by the wife, and
doors will slam in her face.
Yeah, maybe the other players might get suspicious, but this only happens to that character.
I think the this person's not real or is possessed is because of the actual player that's in the mirror world that's going to talk to them through reflections.
So
I feel like that should be the tell.
Right. Maybe more general stuff can happen, stuff flying around the room. But if someone super pays attention, they'll notice that it's really only happening to that one player, but it's so uncontrolled that it's also happening to other players. If a bunch of books go flying across the room, yeah, one will definitely hit that player. Some other ones might hit the other players.
Okay. So that'll be the general threat of the going through the haunted house.
And that's also how the other players will be like, oh, there's a ghost here.
Now we got that motivation for the ghost while in the body.
Yes.
How do they get the ghost out of the body they possessed? The wife's ghost.
Break the mirror. Maybe the possessed player
Are
has
we
to break
gonna
the
do a
mirror.
Dorian Gray? Where
is it a Dorian?
Where we force the two to then line up at the mirror again to re-swap it?
Yeah, maybe the player just has to look in the mirror again.
We can think of something more original, right? I mean, that's a good fallback.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it's the person possessed has to break the mirror.
With the possessed one's face.
Yes, that's what I was thinking.
Just shove it right back into the mirror world.
Yep, pretty much. And actually, it could have some sort of reaction to the mirror where when that player gets shoved into it, it turns into more of a portal instead of a mirror. It doesn't actually shatter.
Oh, like that
And you're
liquid
literally
metal kind of
Yeah,
effect?
you're literally just pushing them back in, and then the correct player gets ejected at that point because there can only be one.
What if the only way to defeat the spirit is... Oh, no, we already said the rule. Because if the ghost looks into any reflection, it sees the monstrous version of itself.
Yeah.
What happens if the player that's stuck in the mirror world could attack said ghost in the mirror world because it sees it's in the reflection?
Oh, that's interesting.
But then I thought, oh, that means that if like the other players are able to get into the mirror world, that's how you defeat the ghost.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you have to go into the mirror
But then I'm
world?
like, well, how do they get into it when it's like it was a swap moment?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
my thinking was the only reason that other players in there at all is because the ghost pulled them in there.
Yeah, so then I don't know how the other players would get into it if there's no other ghost to pull them in, you know,
Right.
to quote unquote attack the spirit.
Mm-hmm.
That was what thought I had, but then it would just be on one person, and that'll be kind of
Yeah.
Or we could do it Durian Gray.
Durian Gray?
That's the mailman. Shout out to that episode.
Yeah.
Do you want to just do Dorian Gray?
Might just do Dorian Gray because either forcing them to look at the thing again or forcing their face into it. Because looking at it, I feel like they are the ones who triggered the swap. So just looking, they'll be like, oh, hi, I'm not swapping back.
I think this mirror is specifically designed for swapping.
Yeah.
So what happens if they have to force the body to be in front of that mirror specifically?
Yeah.
In which then the player that's inside the mirror world has to then physically grab the monstrous beast and yank it out, like as if you're pulling the soul out of the body, and then stand in place where it is.
Okay.
And that's like the symbolism of regaining your body.
All right.
Let's say that the person could hear through the reflection into the real world, because that would be very hard through just gestures.
Right.
Maybe they can't hear the person in the mirror world,
Yes.
but they could hear the outside world.
The one who's trapped can hear everything, but those on the outside who are not trapped can hear nothing because they aren't trapped.
Okay. I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah. No, that's a
we got
good...
motivation, we got a spooky skill set, monster, even though it's just a simple spirit,
Yeah.
and a way to defeat or lose condition.
Yeah.
But I doubt it's going to get the lose condition, because we're going to do the plot twist drop in which all players are going to realize this.
Yeah.
So it's going to be extremely hard for them to actually do it,
Right.
because they know then that this is not really their person.
Mm-hmm. I feel like a good final moment for this is once all the players are leaving the house, like after everything's resolved, they'll just see the husband in his spirit form and he'll be like, thank you, and then waft away into nothing.
She's a B word.
That too.
Or you could say like, you could see the house like has sort of a sense of like sigh, where it suddenly like droops down, like as if it was releasing tension constantly.
Yeah.
And then you see a ghostly orally glow like dissipate from it and go up.
Yeah. Something like that.
Symbolism.
Mhm.
It doesn't matter if they actually get it or not.
Yes.
Okay, I guess that is a Questober monster
Mm-hmm.
quest. And if you put this into your lovely spooky campaign, or just want a spookiness episode or session, let us know how it went down in the comments of this YouTube video. Or if you want to tweet us at QuestboardPod, we would love to hear what happened. And if your players are good role players and they just, release a ghost into the world with your friend possessed,
Woo.
that'd be kind of funny. Anyways, let us know what happens. We already have something set up for all of Questober, but if you want to give us our regular stuff after Questober, tweet us or say in the comments any job posting ideas for our regular stuff.
Or if you want to give us ideas for next Questober.
You know what? We'll compile it for next year.
Yeah.
We'll totally do that. And I think with that, I wish you all a good night.
And happy questing.